I always find it fascinating, like how do you make the decision to go down one road or the other, and then how much work to put into it.
I mean, I have like my process pretty down to a recipe these days. The way I usually do it is just I draw like three concepts.
We got
Yes.
them.
Sweet.
They look awesome. The animation, it's pretty funny how like just looking at it, you can't see it, but when you use your camera, we were like, you have to do it outside with your camera.
Yeah, in the sunlight. And the reason that works is it works like typical animation, and the camera films at a certain frame rate. And so I think it's like 8 frames per second is how animation works. And so like the human eye, I mean, we like it picks up a much faster frame rate than like a camera does. So that's why it works on video. The thing with the the frame rate, like I'm sort of new to doing that sort of animation, and it's kind of like a trial and process. So like literally drawing and changing the rotation of it, cutting it out, putting on a wheel, spinning it, testing it manually, and then seeing how it looks. And then if it
Yeah,
doesn't work out, you kind of have to
like
keep
was is
tweaking
there a
it.
template that they sent you that was like you have to space everything a specific distance
No,
apart? No?
no, because it depends on how you want it to animate too. Like the ones that Matt French did with the bunnies, um, the legs are only just moving like this. So the frame rate is much different than having a head roll 360, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, this is kind of new vibe that we're doing at Bones as of this year. So we're still sort of figuring out what works and what doesn't as well. And each animation is unique to its own self because it depends on how you want it to animate. You know, the first one we tried, the skull, I don't know if you remember, but I turned the skull too much, and the skull was spinning at a much faster rate.
Ah.
Yeah.
I still have the video and I'll show it. It's the
Mm-hmm.
of the cutout on the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
So that will look different than the one we have in production.
The one that you have is the most successful spinning rate. So I think that is the one that you should show forever.
Yeah,
The
that's
heads
it.
will roll forever. I mean,
Exactly.
I think that you have to credit yourself with the idea because when we first talked about it, we did like a static Reaper graphic, which goes with your branding. But you guys had um, you were the one that suggested the animation, and you came up with the heads will roll idea. So, I mean, I can't really take any credit for any of that.
Well, it's nice and dark and evil and funny at the same time. I love it. I love
I think
the
it's kind of like dark humor, but cute at the same time. Like a little kid would think
yeah.
it was still cute.
Well, I mean, when you were younger and you were skateboarding, we all used to buy skateboard graphics that were just like evil and thought they were sick looking, like just like you like heavy metal or punk music. It was the same kind of
Hmm.
vibe, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like the whole like blind with the Reaper
Yeah.
skate decks, it was cute, but it was still, or even Spitfire, or even any of those stuff, they're still going to go cute, you know.
You're like
You
heads will
know,
roll. You're like you guys are just clowns. Like, well, yeah. I mean, the opportunity to do these collaborative pieces doesn't always come around, right? Um,
yeah.
it's
There was actually a
becoming
time when Bones really didn't want to do the shop wheel thing. I mean, because it's um, kids care about quality, and like they might be hesitant to buy a shop wheel, but now at least they know they're going to get a Bones X Formula wheel. I mean, that's about as good as it gets. I'm skating the X Formula 99s, and I love them. Actually, I am. Yeah.
these are going to
I
come
mean,
your way. Hopefully, the right
sweet.
size for you.
I, I'm a 52, but I can make it work.
Yeah, yeah. Just wear them down. That's how we sell the wheels.
I do a lot of power slides. It'll happen.
Well, the '97 stuff's crazy. So, is that like similar? You think to like the Dragon formula? Like that's going to be
Yeah. So basically, what had happened is when the Dragons came out. I mean, they're a bit of a softer wheel,
yeah
and then
'93s.
yeah. So Bones put out the 97s, and they're still a little bit on the softer side for somebody that's used to a park wheel like myself that skates a lot of park. They decided to put out the 99s as well. So it really depends on what you're skating, but if you like a park wheel, then you're definitely going to go with the 99s. Like if in a line, I'll do a power slide to switch up to go fakie or whatever. And like, so that's part of my line in my run,
It's
so I
part of
kind
your
of need to,
routine.
yeah, like I'm 47, so I'm doing lots of flip tricks still, but I'm still like doing old school power slides in there.
Maybe more like, how did you get into doing skate stuff? Because I think that's like a super interesting thing that people like. A
I
lot of
get the
people.
question all the time, so I think it's a very valid one. I think a lot of people ask me how they can get in the door doing sort of big name brand stuff and how I did it. I think I've been in the game for a long time doing skateboard and snowboard graphics and music stuff. And what I usually tell people is how I went about it. And this is, just how it worked for me was I started small and did some like local grassroots stuff and like local brands. Then I had a bit of an advantage of starting my own brand for like 12 years. So I had lots of portfolio under my belt because I was producing my own work. And then slowly, um, as I had more and more portfolio to show, I just started to send my portfolio off to bigger and bigger brands. And then occasionally, you get like these sort of what I call uh, um, career transitioning moments, that push you up a level or two. I started back in the day doing a lot of art for Volcom, like I mentioned, and that sort of really helped um, my game a bit, and then doing electric as well. And then, for a long time, people just, because I was the only Canadian artist on Volcom, um, people would use that as my notoriety. So they'd introduce me and like, oh, Volcom. Like I had all other things going on, but people just introduce me as a Volcom artist. And then, as I went along, I started to get more recognition. I got an interview in Thrasher magazine for art and
Was that
some
with art
just
school or was that with Volcom or
for
just
Thrasher.
yeah? Was it or just
No, it
a
was just a
artist?
straight up artist checkout. Um, yeah, and then they asked me to be in their like artist book for like they put out the envelope book.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had a Yeah, they have a friends and family section, and they asked me to be in that.
That's awesome.
So yeah, and then I started doing art for the barracks, and Steve featured me quite a bit on the barracks, and then I landed a couple of gigs doing shoe brands for Soul Tech back in the day. Like John Brown put me in doing some stuff for S, and he gave me my own skate rat shoot back in the day. And then that sort of opened the door doing shoe art. And then, then I started doing Fallen and Soul Tech.
Wow.
So it's just one thing sort of leads to another. And then it also is like word of mouth, like if you're continuously working with these people, they're recommending you to other gigs. So as it snowballs, you have to work
Yeah.
um, less and less to get in the door because people are just talking about you regardless.
Is it easier because you're passionate about this stuff? Like, so you just kind of part of who
I,
you are, so it makes it a lot easier. Like, you maybe know what people might be looking for.
for sure. Like I'm the guy out there skating every day, so I know what kids are wearing and what people want and what they don't want. But it I try and do things differently, which I feel like is working for me in the sense that I'm not like trying to follow too many trends because if you're following trends, it's already being done. And by the time something actually comes out, which is like you're waiting usually like a year to 2 years for anything to actually drop. So by the time it actually drops, that trend's over anyways. So the way I go about doing things is absorbing what's around me, but also just basically what would I want to wear or what do I think that will be ahead of the game a little bit, like trying to dictate what the next trend could be, or maybe I'm instigating that trend. So I think that's how I try and look at things, because at the end of the day, like if you're trying to sell something and it's sitting next to something else that looks exactly the same, it's impossible to sell.
Yeah. Well, and it's also too like making sure you're like when these brands ask you to do stuff, are you more kind of coming to them with the ideas, or are they telling you what to do?
It's 50-50. Like most of the brands are giving me a starting point because they want it, they know what their whole line looks like, and I'm filling in a piece to fit in with the rest of their line, right? So if you like, for example, Fallen, if I'm doing their illustration work for their soft goods, and I'm also doing the illustration that goes in the heel cups of the shoes and the tongues and stuff, right? But they already know what the actual shoes are going to look like and the colorways of the shoes. So now I'm orchestrating the soft line to match in with the colorways of the shoes. You see what I'm saying? So they
Yeah.
come to me with like, hey, we like these, and I think this can work. And then I bring some of my own ideas to the table, and then we sort of weed out the good ones and the bad ones, and then go from there.
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, me trying to be creative too, like I said, like I always find myself just hitting a roadblock, even when I'm doing just simple. I want to just make a Sanction t-shirt that has a Sanction logo or word that just says Sanction. There's 500 different ways to do it, and coming up with just one. It's been 20 years, I still haven't made a choice. I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I don't envy people who have to do that. And
And if you think in like the scheme of like who's buying the products, it's a wide variety. You have a kid that's like a little kid that's 9. You have a kid that's 13. You have a kid that's 16. You have a kid, like a 21-year-old doesn't want what a 9-year-old wants. So it's just, I think about more inventing what the next trend will be. And if you look at a lot of brands just coming out of left field and putting out something so weird that you're like, whoa, what is this about? I think that's more successful because they're actually doing something that's turning heads. You know what I mean? And like, if you think about, like, for example, Volcom again, they they were successful because they were doing that back in those early 2000s where everyone was going this way, and they're like, this is what we're about, and they stuck to it.
I'll
And then
never forget the first time I saw a Volcom t-shirt in Esther's Market. The lady was working at the cash register. She lifted up her armpit, and there was a Volcom stone in her armpit on a
Mhm.
plain black t-shirt. And ever since that day, I was like, I want Volcom.
Exactly, and they took a lot of risks, and it paid off.
Yeah,
And I think that's like true to any real artist out there. I'm always the
so
one that's
awesome.
like whispering in the ear, like we need to do like spot varnishes that are glow in the dark or whatever, because even though it's a gimmick, those are the things that get noticed when they're sitting on a shelf.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't just have AI and plain logos just splattered on everything and color blocked on anything. I mean, I know no one wants to offend people, but I mean, I think that's the beauty of art. Some people might not like it, but
Mm-hmm.
that's not really the point. It's
Yeah, and
to
at
be
the end of the
different.
day, like what are you going to hang on your wall and show off in 20 years? Like some people that are truly passionate about skateboards and snowboards, they love the art and they want to hang that on their wall. Are you going to hang a skateboard or a snowboard on your wall that's solid color block with a logo? I mean,
Probably not.
probably not. It's very forgettable, you
Yeah.
know?
Well, it's like people walking into the store with an old skateboard, and you're like, oh man, I remember that. When they walk in with just a logo board, you're not going to say that. But when you see someone's art and it's like a one-off, it's memorable. I mean, I think,
Totally. I mean, like you have these art history books like that Cliver put out, like the Bible, and if you flip through it and you like look at some of those decks, they bring back some solid memories of your childhood. I mean, if it's something that's just a straight solid board, I mean, it's not going to be in a Bible.
no,
It's very forgettable.
awesome.
You're not going to be like, oh, I really need to get that blank board back, put it on my wall.
I want that. Well, thank you again, Mark. I really
No problem.
appreciate the time to answer these questions and obviously design the wheels for us. It's sick. And yeah, I'm going to send you these, and DCP wants some of these too.
Yeah, he wants the 54s. He asked
54s?
for a 53, which is not a thing.
No.
Nobody makes a 53 anymore.